What happens when Spider-Man's identity is exposed and magic goes wrong? Today's topic, Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Hey, I'm Garrett, feeling super pumped to dive into today's topic.
And I'm Leah. Can't wait to unravel this one with you.
Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett. Today, we're diving into Spider-Man: No Way Home, a film that took the multiverse idea and cranked it up in the best way.
Here's something to get us started. I watched it with my family. My brother is a Tobey Maguire loyalist, my cousin swears by Andrew Garfield, and I've got a soft spot for Tom Holland's awkward charm. When those universes started brushing up against each other, I remember everyone on our couch leaning forward at the exact same time. It felt like the movie pulled 3 eras into one living room. That's so wild, right?
All right, let's set the stage for this one. Quick definitions. The multiverse is basically the idea that there are many parallel realities where different versions of the same characters exist. Think branching what-ifs that can touch sometimes. The MCU, or Marvel Cinematic Universe, is the big connected web of Marvel films and shows produced by Marvel Studios. No Way Home is the 27th MCU film, and it lands after The Blip, which is the in-universe return of everyone who vanished in Avengers: Infinity War, 5 years later.
And that timing matters, because the world is still a little off balance from The Blip. Even institutions and authority figures feel different. This movie sits at that crossroads and uses the multiverse to connect Tom Holland's Spider-Man with earlier film timelines from Sony's previous Spider-Man series. Quick note, Sony distributes the Spider-Man movies, Marvel Studios co-produces here, and they made a deal so this could stay part of the MCU, while also nodding to Sony's other Spider-Verses like Venom's world, sometimes called Sony's Spider-Man universe.
Key players time. Tom Holland is our current Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield return as alternate Spider-Men from their earlier film series. The villain roster pulls from those past films too. Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus, Jamie Foxx as Electro, plus Sandman and the Lizard. On the MCU side, we've got Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, with Wong, played by Benedict Wong, serving as Sorcerer Supreme because Strange was blipped. And there's even a short but awesome scene with Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, as Peter's lawyer.
Stylistically, they blend eras. Some actors are digitally de-aged, which is a visual effects technique to make them appear younger, and a few designs shift toward comic-accurate looks, like Electro's Yellow Lightning. The film's big swing is letting nostalgia in, but keeping Tom Holland's Peter at the emotional center. Let's unpack how that plays out.
Beginning of the story. Peter starts in total chaos after the previous film reveals his identity. J. Jonah Jameson, he's the bombastic news host played by J.K. Simmons, turns the public against him. The Department of Damage Control, that's the federal group that handles superhero fallout, swoops in. It's legal, it's messy, and it's very not fun for a high school senior who just wants to apply to college.
Real talk. He gets a lawyer, Matt Murdock, who by day is a defense attorney, by night he's Daredevil. In one perfect beat, he catches a brick thrown through the window without looking. That clears Peter from the murder charge clouding him, but the social damage remains, and college prospects for him, MJ and Ned, take a hit.
So Peter heads to Doctor Strange. Quick define, Strange is the MCU's sorcerer who protects reality using magic. The Sanctum Sanctorum is his New York base. Peter asks for a spell to make the world forget he's Spider-Man, and then he keeps adding exceptions mid-cast, like please let MJ remember and Ned and Aunt May, which fractures the spell. Strange bottles the unstable magic, but the damage is done. Reality starts leaking.
Why was Strange's grasp of the multiverse kind of limited here? I mean, he's the guy with the library of cosmic books.
Great question. Behind the scenes, scheduling changes made this release hit before the next Doctor Strange movie, so they rewrote it so Strange hasn't fully mapped the multiverse yet. Story-wise, that makes the spell scarier. It's like he's flying by instruments in a storm rather than on a clear day.
And we get that Sorcerer pecking order twist. Wong is Sorcerer Supreme because Strange got snapped. It's a small detail, but it reframes authority. Wong is cautious, Strange is risk-on. Peter sides with compassion first, which sets up their ideological clash.
From there, Strange basically deputizes Peter to round up multiversal visitors who slipped in. That's when the past crashes into the present, and it's off to the races.
Middle chapter, and here's where it gets really interesting. The first big clash is on a bridge with Dr. Octopus, Alfred Molina's scientist whose mechanical arms do his bidding. Peter's suit nanotech latches onto Otto's tentacles, flipping control back to Peter, which is a clever way to nod to the MCU's tech-heavy world and also de-escalate a classic villain.
Then Norman Osborn shows up. That's Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, who smashes his mask early, letting Dafoe act with his full face. He plays the split personality to the hilt, vulnerable Norman versus the Goblin's cruelty. It's a choice that makes the later apartment fight feel way more personal and raw.
Max Dillon, aka Electro, also arrives. Jamie Foxx's look shifts from blue to yellow, closer to his classic comic vibe, and he gets supercharged by Stark tech. The Lizard and Sandman appear as well. Both are largely realized with visual effects, and their human-form shots actually pull from archival footage, which is previously filmed material reused here. Pandemic filmmaking got creative.
Peter brings the villains to Happy Hogan's condo to try curing them rather than tossing them back to die in their timelines. That's the core moral pivot. He restores Otto's inhibitor chip, and for a moment, it works. You see the man come back from the machine. It's hopeful.
But the Goblin persona resurfaces and flips the room. The apartment brawl is brutal, hand-to-hand and close quarters. It strips out quips and shows Peter losing his footing both physically and emotionally. That's where Aunt May, Marisa Tomei's May, delivers the heart of Spider-Man. With great power, there must also come great responsibility.
And then May is killed by the Goblin. It's devastating. Not gonna lie, that hit different. It reframes this trilogy. May becomes the moral architect of Holland's Spider-Man, like Uncle Ben did in earlier versions, but here it's a late trilogy turning point, not the prologue.
Meanwhile, Ned, Peter's best friend, discovers he can use a sling ring that's a sorcerer's portal device. He accidentally opens portals and summons two other Spider-Men, Andrew Garfield's and Tobey Maguire's. The way they enter balances humor with catharsis. Andrew carries the ache of losing Gwen Stacy. Tobey arrives like a steady older brother.
Why can Ned do magic at all, though?
It's teased as latent aptitude. The movie plays it lightly for comedy and plot momentum. Fun tidbit, early development considered giving that function to America Chavez, a multiverse-jumping character who later debuts in Doctor Strange's sequel. Keeping it with Ned keeps the focus on Peter's inner circle.
Final act. The three Spider-Men team up to synthesize cures for everyone. They choose the Statue of Liberty as the battleground, now under renovation with Captain America's shield being installed, which is a cheeky symbol mashup. Their plan reframes the climax from just punching to healing.
Otto's redemption cements when he helps neutralize Electro by cutting him off from the arc reactor power. Sandman and Lizard are restored with antidotes tuned to their conditions. It's a series of tailored solutions, each tied to empathy rather than elimination.
The multiverse tears wider. Strange returns and tries to hold the breach. You see silhouettes of other figures who know Spider-Man's identity. It's a teaser buffet without overcommitting, keeping doors open for future stories.
In the emotional peak, Peter 1 nearly kills the Goblin out of rage. Tobey's Peter steps in and stops him without words. Andrew's Peter helps deliver Norman's cure. That restraint saves Peter 1 from crossing a line he couldn't uncross.
But the breach won't hold, so Peter asks Strange to cast a deeper spell. Make everyone forget Peter Parker entirely, not just that he's Spider-Man. Everyone forgets the person. It fixes reality and it costs him everything personal. MJ, Ned, all of it.
Afterward, he goes to see MJ, Zendaya's character, who's his emotional anchor, but decides not to reintroduce himself. It's bittersweet. He honors her new safety over his own need to reconnect. That one gave me chills.
Mid-credits, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock, Venom from Sony's universe, briefly appears and then gets zapped back, leaving behind a little symbiote fragment. That seed sets up classic Spider-Man possibilities inside the MCU.
Epilogue. Peter moves into a tiny apartment, sews a simple suit, and swings into a back-to-basics Spider-Man life. No Stark tech, no public fame, just responsibility. It's a clean slate with weight. Let's take a turn here to something a little spicy. The secrecy around Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, so many denials, rumors, and blurry photos. Andrew flat out said he wasn't involved. Charlie Cox did the same. Do we call that smart surprise protection or misleading marketing?
I'm down for that secrecy strategy. Not gonna lie, hearing the theater gasp when those portals opened was worth it. The denials preserved a communal moment. In a spoiler-saturated world, that's rare. Plus, the studios did try to keep sets locked down. Cloaks on actors, controlled access, so the intent was clear: protect the reveal.
I get the magic of that. But ethically, when a performer says for real I'm not in it, and then they are, it blurs trust. Fans aren't entitled to spoilers, absolutely. Still, I kind of wish the statements leaned on, we're keeping surprises for the theater rather than flat denials. That would keep the thrill without gaslighting anyone.
Totally hear you. Maybe it's a scale thing. A wink like we can't talk about it might fuel leaks even more, whereas a strong denial cools the speculation machine so the reveal lands harder. It's a tough balance between transparency and preserving the experience.
Why not split the difference? Focus marketing on what's confirmed, like the returning villains, which they did, and keep quiet on the rest without direct contradiction. The film already had plenty to sell: Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, and the moral question of cure versus consequence.
Fair. But given how leaks spread, I think they decided leaning into misdirection was the only way to counter random set photos. In the end, it worked for the crowd moment. Whether it dents trust long-term probably depends on how often studios reach for that play.
We can agree on this. The payoffs felt earned because the cameos served the story. Andrew saving MJ, Tobey stopping the killing blow, those weren't just hello-goodbye moments. They resolved character threads. That's why the secrecy mattered at all.
Pop culture ripple check. No Way Home became the highest-grossing film of 2021, about $1.9 billion worldwide, which, during a pandemic, is wild. It revived theater energy, grabbed an Oscar nomination for visual effects, and basically proved that multiverse crossovers can be mainstream crowd pleasers when grounded in character.
And it set up future storytelling, from that little Venom symbiote fragment to the way Daredevil slid into MCU continuity. Plus, the back-to-basics reset cleared a path for new street-level arcs. You can already see ripple effects shaping how Marvel and Sony coordinate projects going forward. What if the Sony and Disney deal back in 2019 never got fixed? Picture a world where Spider-Man leaves the MCU, no Doctor Strange, no Stark tech echoes, maybe no multiverse meeting of the three Spider-Men. What changes first in your mind?
Okay, so here's where I go. Without the MCU tie, I bet they pivot to Kraven the Hunter as the main antagonist. He's a classic Spider-Man villain who tracks prey like a big game hunter. That gives you a gritty manhunt thriller. Peter on the run after his identity is exposed, hunted through New York's underbelly. No Strange means no botched spell. The stakes become survival and reputation, not reality tearing open.
I could get behind that idea as a different flavor, but we'd miss the generational closure of three Spider-Men sharing one frame. Andrew's redemption moment with MJ doesn't happen. Tobey's quiet mentorship doesn't happen. Also, Daredevil's cameo likely vanishes because that ties into Marvel Television's threads into the MCU. The cultural event factor shrinks even if the movie might still be great on its own terms.
Right. Box office probably drops without the crossover engine, and you lose the Venom symbiote breadcrumb in the MCU. Instead, you'd get a fully Sony-contained path where Spider-Man weaves directly into Venom and other SSU characters, which could be cool, just different in scope.
And thematically, we'd trade the responsibility versus fate debate, the question of sending villains back to die, for a tighter story about justice and accountability under the microscope. It's compelling, but the multiverse layer gave No Way Home an almost mythic resonance. 3 eras counseling one hero through grief. That's hard to replace.
Stay curious, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on Laid Back Learning. Until next time.